You're listening to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast, the place to come for movie reviews, along with some extra fun talk about movie-related topics like box office and awards. You can find us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and basically any place else you can find podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for even more content. If you like what we do, feel free to share us with your friends, like and leave feedback wherever you listen to us, and let us know what you think. Now, let's get on with the show.
So Ryan, you turned me on to this show on Apple TV Plus.
I suggested we talk about it.
You did? Okay, that's fair enough. You suggested we talk about it. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how turned on we are in a little bit. Mythic Quest, which is about a video game company and the shenanigans that take place therein. I guess, between the creator and his programmers and his monetization director and the CEO and corporate headquarters and all of the flunkies that comprise the company. When you explained it to me, when you presented it, I said, so it's... I told you I got a vaguely Guildish vibe.
No.
Which, if you haven't watched Felicia Day's seminally groundbreaking, geeky series, The Guild, then you've done yourself a disservice. And you were like, kinda. And you're right, it's kinda. It is way more of a set piece sitcom in form than The Guild was. And we talked about how it presents the geek world. Before I even watched it, we talked about, you kind of gave me your general impressions about how it presents this world of the gamer and the geeks and all of this. So my question is, did you like it? Were you on the plus side or the minus side on Mythic Quest?
Generally, I think ultimately kind of on the minus side. It kind of goes back. I prefer it, and I prefer it to Big Bang Theory, which I thought was just a monstrosity. And I know there are a lot of people who love that. So, I mean, if you love Big Bang Theory, this is the vulgar uncle or the vulgar cousin to Big Bang Theory. But I feel like this is that a lot of the things that they're touching on are important, and a lot of the things that are it's actually based on stuff that really has happened. There's a lot of truth in it. So that said, they have season 1 finished, but they have a kind of, the season 2 is about to come up, but they did a kind of a special.
Yep.
And that is probably the first one that I didn't cringe my way through, to be honest. I thought, and maybe I've gotten, used to whatever it is they're doing, or, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, and I hate it when I'm the target audience.
Because you feel targeted?
Well, no, I just, it almost is like, oh, so that's what you think I like.
I see.
So the humor is very broad. I believe David Gordon Green directs some of it, and I love some of his movies, and I hate some of his movies. So,
yeah,
I tend to like his serious stuff more than I like his comedic stuff. Which is, and this is very comedic and a little juvenile, and I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little comedic and a little juvenile. There you go. No, it's way more comedic and way more than it's a lot more than a little juvenile. So there's 8 or 9 episodes in season 1, which is now completely available on Apple TV Plus. So I watched all that. Then they had a special episode that they shot during COVID when they were all isolated. So it was all, it was the company trying to function in the pandemic remotely. So you get this kind of special look at how people are handling COVID, and some people handle it better than others. So that it's kind of a silly one-off that isn't really, it's not married to any one industry. It doesn't have to be a gaming industry. That's basically everybody that's working anywhere for the last year. So everyone can identify with that, whether you play video games or not, or you're a geek or not, or whatever. So we'll talk about the other special episode in a minute, because it doesn't drop until tomorrow for us, which I think is when we're allowed to talk about it. But so the first season, you're right. It really is. This is the TBS and TNT are cable channels, and that's where Big Bang is now. But it started on network television. Mythic Quest cannot be on network television.
No.
So it's all of. If you were sitting around watching Big Bang with your buddies, all the lines that you put in that show, that obviously Big Bang couldn't put in the show, those are the lines that wind up in Mythic Quest. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that they're on two different distribution outlets and are thus subject to different rules of behavior. But I do get what you were saying in that it feels too on the nose and too wrong at the same time. Does that make sense? So yes, the old internet meme, I feel attacked. Because you can look at parts of it and go, I feel attacked. But it's not necessarily wrong. It's just 11. Really.
Yeah. I mean, and there, and like I said, a lot of these things are built on real video game history. A lot of the jokes and things, I mean, a lot of it is, it's not that it's completely made up, because it's not.
Right.
But I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it is, because I'm not particularly, like, I don't know that the gamer community deserves some holy reverence or anything like that. I just, I don't know. I don't know how to put it other than just say it feels like it's for me, but I'm not really into it.
That's a fair way to put it. So we have season 1, and we have I would almost forget, a lot of the creatives in Mythic Quest also are over in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I think you get a lot of the same comedic sensibility.
Yeah, Charlie Day wrote
a lot of this. Rob McElhenney wrote a lot of this. So yeah, there's a lot of carryover. And I'm not a huge Always Sunny fan either, but I don't hate it. It's just not something that's been in my rotation. So it's this really over the top kind of. You said it kind of when I was trying to make the comparison to the Guild, when I was trying to get a feel for it. You said it's a little more mean spirit. It's mean in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think it is a kind of a mean-spirited movie or series. I mean, not to the point where it's, but I mean, I don't know that anybody likes anybody, really, except, there's the testers like each other.
That's true.
But other than that, I don't know that any of these people actually like each other, or that they even want to. It's, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's, I don't know, maybe too polished, too. I don't know.
I actually totally get what you're saying. It feels very crafted. Like everything is chosen for the absolute maximum balance between nerd cred and crass.
Yeah.
Like everything they never full nerd, and they often full crass, but I don't know where I fall. I think I'm like literally mid range on this one, because there are times when I would just smile, and there's parts where I would roll my eyes. But then we get to the end of season 1, and we have this bonus episode that they put out once they were able to go back and film, and that is called Everlight. And it's an episode that covers an annual event at the company, at Mythic Quest, where everyone comes in costume, and they have this LARP tournament to determine who is going to banish the darkness of the previous year and restore sunlight. And it's obviously it never happened before this year, but in the show it has. So this year, of course, it takes on greater meaning because we've come out of the pandemic, the darkest year we've had. And it's this weird tournament, and our creator and our creative director are the king and queen, overseeing this tournament. And we learn some things about him and how he does business. And it does feel better than the rest of season 1 in a lot of ways.
And I don't know if it's because it actually feels relevant in a not so joking way. Because the series does try to, deals with a lot of the gaming world's issues, but it doesn't really seem to deal with them. it
just brings them up for comedic effect.
And then who knows? But this one, this might be one of the stranger episodes as well, in that certain things actually are presented. Anyway, it's a weird episode as far as the series goes.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's not trying to prove anything now. Like it's not trying to impress you.
Right.
It's not trying to convince you of anything. It just lets it be. I think the characters are slightly toned down in this, which is most of them, which is kind of unusual. It's almost like they pulled it back a little bit and let it actually be about something. It's again, I don't know that it's leaps and bounds better, but it was more enjoyable for me to watch this episode than I think any of the others. Although there is in the series, I do like the one that almost has nothing to do with the rest of the series, about the video game that gets created and the relationship that gets destroyed in the process. Anyway, that was the weirdest episode in there. It was a great episode as like just a one-off thing to watch. But it had very little to almost nothing to actually do with the principal series.
No, it really didn't. But so that was, so I enjoyed it, and I was almost like, are we going to run a completely different show now? Is this like American Horror Story? We're going to get a completely separate storyline? No, we didn't. But like I said, I thought that was that was like a really great story they told in that episode. But you're right, it has basically nothing to do with the story with the rest of the series, because it's literally not about them at all.
It's not that it's not connected. There's a couple people who are in both. Although, but the funny thing is the connection on that one, it isn't the main character. It's almost like it's like they thought of this really good story later, and didn't, and so they kind of had to retroactively connect this, because they wanted to tell this story. They had to, okay, how do we get away with telling this story? And I guess that one, I just felt like that one was, again, I think sometimes they get an idea and they just start riffing on it, but they never actually get anywhere or actually end up saying anything. I don't know. but
it's very one-off. But like I said, the Everlight, on the other hand, does say something.
Yes.
But we get a little bit more of the not main characters, I guess. A lot more of the side characters, even though the mains are still up front. I would like to point out two things about the series in general first. The one thing about the series in general first. Danny Pudi plays Brad, the director of monetization. Does he ever not play a complete D-bag?
No, I think
he's in there. It's like his butt zone. He is like right in there. And two, in Everlight, it's narrated. Now, this is a show that is about a game, by the way, whose chief writer is the Saturn Award-winning author C.W. Longbottom, played by F. Murray Abraham, who is not the narrator of Everlight. The narrator of Everlight, if my ears do not mistake me, is Anthony Hopkins. But I can't find a credit for that anywhere. And I'm like, you have F. Murray Abraham, who's already established as the voice of the story. And he's F. Murray Abraham, and he doesn't narrate this episode that seems like he should be narrating. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, I don't got anything for you.
Was he sick? Could he literally not do the narration? It's like he was in the episode. Granted, he was in the episode remotely.
Yeah, he's much older than everyone else, so he appears remotely. Although, but I mean, it is kind of strange though, because he has a lot more to do and say in this episode than he does in a lot of other episodes. Usually, he's kind of there's a couple jokes, that he's good for. He's kind of the butt of a lot of their jokes. He loves backstories.
Oh my God, yes.
Anyway,
don't all writers.
Yeah, but there's stuff. Like I said, again, there's lots of stuff in this that's actually 100% true. And his character, I guess they push everything to the extremes. Like you said, they turn everything up to 11, and I think at times it might be nice if they only went to 8.
Right.
And that goes for almost any of the characters. Just a little humanity, I guess. I don't know, but
we get our humanity in the testers.
Yes.
Rachel and Dana,
and vulnerability and whatnot.
All the actual emotion is actually in those two characters.
Whereas everyone else is, of course, and no one wants to listen to them.
No,
which is actually probably accurate. I don't think people. I imagine that video game designers hate testers. I think testers is the sort of thing. It's like a test audience for a movie. They're brought in not by the artist, but by the people who were backing.
Yep.
To see,
and whose sole purpose is to tell you what's wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a beautiful thing you've built. Now allow me to pick it apart.
And tell you why it doesn't work.
Both what physically doesn't work and what doesn't work as a player.
Yeah.
So the testers, I think, are always kind of on the outside, but in this show, that's where all the emotion is. That's great. I want to stick to the Guild comparison, and I think the Guild, for as weird and low budget and kind of thrown together as the Guild was, especially early, it has a lot more heart than this does.
Yeah, agreed.
Like I said, I don't think Mythic Quest is bad, but I can't rave about the whole thing because it's just not all raveable. But neither is it all terrible.
Yeah.
And so I'll be interested to see season 2, which comes out at the end of April. They believe it's the 29th or whatever day of the month that is. The 29th looks about right. So it comes out at the end of the month on Apple TV Plus. And like I said, I'll be interested to see at least, check out the first couple episodes and see how the dynamics change. Maybe if the layoff, maybe if Everlight, maybe if they learn some stuff, maybe if they approach things in a slightly different way. I don't know.
And it's and I'm kind of in the same place where I feel like sometimes it takes a show 1 or 2 seasons to figure out what it is.
And this is a short season. Like I said, it's like 8 episodes, and then really Everlight. So it's not really this is not like a season of network television where they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'll be, like I said, I will be interested to see the first couple episodes and see if it's exactly like season 1 or if it's not. And that will go a long way toward whether I finish season 2, I think. But I don't know. But no, it's an interesting show. If you're a gamer, it's okay. I
mean, and it does. I mean, it does have a sense of history. These are obviously some people who probably grew up, playing games and remember. There's kind of a reference to the Lord British Ultima, the guy who basically wrote the early Ultima, created the Ultima games, and now he took on this persona, and that's kind of where the Ian's character comes from. So there's a lot of these things are built on truths.
Yeah.
And so for me, there's that part of me that goes like, well, it's obvious that they have some sort of, affinity or knowledge for what they're making. It just that the.
I don't think they let their appreciation for that.
Yes, I think
always.
It's more of a. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the stuff. I mean, you can't. You have to have a certain amount of interest to know a lot of the things that they're riffing on. And typically, I guess you could be motivated completely by things that you hate. But typically, it needs to be a little. Again, I think it's mean spirited. I think it's not really about. It's about pointing out things, but not about really addressing or trying to solve or trying to. At least that first season. But again, there's a couple episodes in there that were really quite good. There are moments that are quite good.
If they grow out of those, I think season 2 will be better.
Sure. Yeah.
So, So there you go. That is Mythic Quest. Apple TV Plus season 1 is available. Their quarantine episode is available. Everlight, the special episode for when you listen to this today, April 16th, it will be available, and season 2 at the end of April. If you're a fan of like Big Bang, The Guild, you're interested enough to give it a shot and see if the rest of it works into your sensibilities, I think. Yes. So no more backstory. Sorry, C.W. Longbottom and your 1973 Saturn Award. But so that's it. Ryan and I are going to be back next week. Next week with Mortal Kombat. So we'll see how that goes. We've got some other stuff coming out too, which we will be talking about. We have the penultimate episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier dropping today, tomorrow, depending on when you listen to this, or yesterday. Who knows? Depends on when you listen to this. And then we'll see how that shakes out after last week's bloodbath. Ha ha ha. So, but until then, I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
We will talk to everyone later. Bye-bye.